The cry no one could silence. The mountain did not welcome the weak. It never had. It rose from the earth like a jagged wound, black stone split by veins of molten gold, smoke drifting endlessly from cracks that glowed like the breath of some sleeping god. Even from miles away, it radiated power, not warmth. Power, the kind that pressed against the chest. The kind that reminded every living thing of its place. At its peak stood the Imperial Hatchery, a fortress carved into the mountain itself, older than the kingdom it served, older perhaps than the empire that now claimed dominion over dragons. Massive gates of iron and obsidian guarded its entrance, etched with ancient sigils that shimmered faintly under moonlight. Guards stood at all hours, armored in black steel lined with ember thread, their expressions carved from the same stone as the mountain. Above them, circling high in the ash-choked sky, dragons flew. Some were massive, ancient beings with wings wide enough to blot out the sun. Others were smaller, younger, their scales still soft, their movements uncertain, but all of them shared one thing. They were not free. At the base of the mountain, far below the gates, a narrow path twisted upward. Steep, unforgiving, and walked daily by those who did not belong. Keep up. The man did not turn as he spoke. His voice was quiet, worn thin by years of careful obedience. Behind him, a boy hurried along the narrow path, his boots slipping slightly on loose gravel. He clutched a small bundle of cloth to his chest, breathing hard as he tried to match his father's pace. "I am," the boy muttered, though his legs burned. He glanced up, and like every morning, his steps faltered. The hatchery loomed above them. Closer now, bigger, more terrifying. The boy had seen it countless times, walked this path countless mornings, and yet it never lost its weight. "Do you ever get used to it?" he asked. His father didn't answer immediately. The man's shoulders shifted just slightly. "No," the boy frowned. "Then why do you keep looking at it?" The man stopped, turned. For a moment, something flickered in his eyes, something old, something tired, something that didn't belong to a man who had long ago learned not to feel too much. "Because," he said quietly, "if you forget what it is, you might think you belong there." The boy looked back at the mountains, at the dragons circling above, at the faint glow pulsing beneath the stone. "Don't we?" he asked. The silence that followed was heavy. Too heavy. His father turned away. "Walk." They reached the gates as the first light of dawn began to touch the sky. Guards stood waiting. They always did. Eyes sharp, hands resting on weapons. Watching, always watching. The boy lowered his gaze. That was the rule. Never meet their eyes. Never speak unless spoken to. Never linger. The gates opened with a deep, grinding sound, and heat washed over them. The hatchery breathed fire. Inside, the air was thick, hot, and heavy, laced with the scent of ash and something sharper, something metallic. The stone beneath their feet was warm, almost too warm, as if the mountain itself pulsed with life. And sound. Always sound. The crackling of flame. The scrape of claws against stone. Low, rumbling growls that echoed through the massive chambers. Occasional sharp cries, newly hatched dragons testing their voices for the first time. It should have been overwhelming. It should have been terrifying. But the boy listened. His father moved ahead, already setting down their tools, already beginning the silent, methodical work expected of him. Cleaning, sweeping ash, carrying away broken shells, wiping soot from the carved stone walls. Invisible work. Work that kept the hatchery running, yet earned no recognition. No respect. The boy helped. He always did. But his attention wandered, because beneath the roar of flames and the low thunder of dragons, there was something else. A sound that didn't belong. Soft, high, broken. The boy froze. There. His voice was barely a whisper. His father stiffened. "Don't." The boy turned his head slightly. "Do you hear that?" I said don't. But the boy wasn't listening anymore. The sound came again. A cry. Not loud. Not powerful. Not like the others. It didn't echo. It didn't demand attention. It pleaded. The boy took a step, then another. Stop. His father's voice was sharper now, more urgent. We are not here for that. But the boy had already moved beyond him. Drawn, pulled. The hatchery was divided into chambers, each carved to house different clutches of dragon eggs and hatchlings. Most were open, allowing dragon keepers to observe and manage the young creatures. But at the far end, there was a section that was sealed. Walls of reinforced stone, runes etched deep into the surface. Guards posted nearby, their attention sharper than anywhere else. And behind those walls, the cry came again. The boy stopped. His chest tightened. Why is that one closed off? No answer came. He stepped closer. The guards shifted. That area is restricted, one said coldly. The boy swallowed, nodded, but his eyes didn't move, because through a narrow gap in the stone, he saw it, a nest, small, isolated, and inside, something moved. The boy took another step. Slow, careful. The guards did not stop him this time. They watched, waiting. Inside the enclosure was a dragon, a hatchling, but not like the others. It was smaller, much smaller. Its body curled in on itself as if trying to disappear. Its wings, thin, fragile, trembled against its sides. And its scales. The boy's breath caught. They weren't red, or gold, or black. They were silver, but not the bright, gleaming silver of polished metal. Dull, faded, cracked. Thin lines spread across its body, like fractures in glass, glowing faintly from within, unstable, flickering light that struggled to hold itself together. And its eyes. The boy felt something twist in his chest. They were wide, searching, and filled with something no creature born of fire should feel. Loneliness. The hatchling made a small sound. A cry. The boy stepped closer. Oh, hey. The word slipped out before he could stop it. The dragon froze. Slowly, it turned its head. Their eyes met. Time stilled. The hatchling didn't snarl, didn't bare its teeth, didn't lash out. It stared, and then it moved. Not fast, not aggressive. Careful. It stumbled forward, its steps unsteady, its wings dragging slightly against the ground. Until it reached the barrier. And stopped. The boy crouched slowly. You're alone. The dragon tilted its head, as if trying to understand. Behind him, footsteps approached. Step away. The voice was sharp, controlled. The boy turned. A man stood there, robed in dark fabric lined with glowing ember thread, his gaze cold and measuring. A dragon keeper. Do not approach that enclosure, the man said. The boy hesitated. Why? The keeper's eyes flicked toward the hatchling. Because it is unstable. The word hung in the air. The boy looked back. The dragon had pressed itself against the barrier now. Close. Watching. It's just crying, the boy said softly. The keeper's expression did not change. It was born with a twin. The boy stilled. A bonded pair, the keeper continued. 2 hatchlings, 1 core, a rare occurrence. His voice hardened. The other died. The boy's chest tightened. And this one, he asked. It survived. A pause. Barely. Silence filled the space. The boy looked at the dragon again. At the cracks in its scales. At the faint, flickering light beneath. At the way it pressed itself against the stone. As if waiting for something that would never come. So he's alone, the boy whispered. Oh, yes. And no one stays with him. The keeper's gaze sharpened. It serves no purpose. The words were simple. Vlad, final. He cannot be bonded, his core is fractured, his growth is stunted, he will not serve the Empire. The boy felt something twist inside him. Something sharp. Something wrong. That's not his fault, he said. The air shifted. The guards straightened. The keeper's eyes narrowed. You will not speak out of turn. But the boy wasn't listening. Because the dragon had made another sound. Softer this time. Not loud enough for the others to notice. But the boy heard it. A question. He stepped closer. Ignoring the tension. Ignoring the dangers. I know that sound, he whispered. The dragon stilled. I've heard it before. The boy swallowed. When someone leaves. The words were quiet, but heavy. His hand lifted, slowly, and pressed against the stone. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, the dragon moved. It pressed its head against the barrier, right where the boy's hand rested on the other side. The contact was not real, not physical, but it was enough. The boy's breath caught. You're not supposed to be alone. The dragon didn't cry. Not this time. It stayed there. Still, listening. I don't have a brother either, the boy said softly. Behind him, his father took a step forward. Enough, he said under his breath, we're leaving. But the boy didn't move. His eyes remained on the hatchling. And for the first time, he didn't feel small. Didn't feel like he didn't belong. Because in that moment, someone named him. So I'll be yours. The words were simple. Childish. Impossible. The dragon keeper scoffed. Humans, he muttered, always clinging to things they cannot understand. But something had already changed. Because the hatchling stopped crying. Completely. The silence that followed was louder than any roars. And deep within the mountains, something stirred. Watching, waiting, for the first time in a long, long while. Something broken had begun to heal. The bond that should not exist. The mountain remembered. It remembered fires. It remembered blood. It remembered the first dragons that carved their names into the sky and the first humans who dared to chain them. It remembered powers. And it remembered bonds. That was why the hatchery trembled. Because something forbidden had begun. The boy returned the next morning. He woke before dawn, before the sky shifted from black to gray, before the winds began their slow climb across the mountain's face. Sleep had not held him long. It couldn't. Because something inside him was awake. He didn't understand it. Not fully. Not yet. But he felt it. A pull. A quiet, steady thread that tugged at his chest, not painful, not harsh, but insistent. Like a whisper he couldn't quite hear but knew was there. Waiting. He's calling. The words left his mouth before he realized he'd spoken them. His father paused at the door. You're imagining things. The boy shook his head. I'm not. There was no fear in his voice. No hesitation. Only certainty. His father studied him for a long moment. Something in the boy's expression had changed. Subtly, but unmistakably. Stay close to me today, the man said finally. The boy didn't answer. Because he was already moving. Up the path. Faster than before. The climb that once left him breathless now felt lighter. His steps were quicker, more certain, as if his body already knew the way. The mountain loomed above them, its presence as heavy as ever. But something was different. For the first time, the boy did not feel small beneath it. He felt expected. The gates opened. Heat rolled over them. The hatchery breathed. And the sound came immediately. Not a cry. A call. The boy's chest tightened. I'm here. He didn't realize he had said it aloud. But he had. And across the chamber, behind stone walls and glowing runes, something answered. A soft, sharp sound. Relief. The boy moved. Stop. His father's voice cut through the air, low and urgent. But the boy didn't slow. Not this time. Because the thread pulling at him had become a tether. And it would not be ignored. The guards were already watching. They had been told. The janitor's son, the one who lingered, the one who spoke to the broken hatchling. "Stay back," one of them said as the boy approached. The boy stopped. For a moment. Then, "Please." The word was simple. Quiet. But it carried something deeper than defiance. It carried need. Behind the guard, the hatchling let out a sound. Sharper now. Not loud. But urgent. The guard hesitated. Only for a second. But that second was enough. The boy stepped past him. And no one stopped him. Inside the enclosure, everything was the same. The stone, the runes, the isolation. But the dragon was not. It was standing. Barely. Its small legs trembled under its weight, its wings twitching at its sides as if unsure whether they belonged to it. But it stood, waiting. The moment the boy stepped into view, it moved, faster than before, still clumsy, still unsteady, but determined. It reached the barrier and pressed against it. Hard. You waited. The boy smiled. "I told you I'd come back." He knelt, placed his hand against the stone again. This time, the dragon didn't hesitate. It pressed its head fully against the barrier. And the moment it did, something shifted. The boy inhaled sharply. Heat. Not burning, not painful, but alive. It spread from his hand up his arm into his chest. And then, a feeling, not his, hunger, sharp, deep, endless. The boy staggered slightly. The dragon made a soft sound. Concern. The boy blinked. "You're hungry." The realization wasn't a guess. It was certainty. The dragon keepers noticed. From across the chamber, robed figures watched in silence, their expressions unreadable. "That shouldn't be possible," one murmured. "Watch." The boy didn't hear them. He was too focused. "Wait here," he said softly. The dragon stilled. Listening. The boy stood. Looked around. Food was stored nearby, meat for the hatchlings, carefully measured and distributed by rank, by lineage, by worth. The silver hatchling had none. Of course it didn't. "It's useless," they had said. The boy's jaw tightened. He moved. Quickly, quietly, grabbing a small piece from a nearby tray. "Stop him," one of the keepers said. But another raised a hand. "Oh, wait." The boy returned. He held the mate up. "I don't know if you can eat this yet." The dragon sniffed, hesitated. Then, slowly, it took it. And for the first time, it ate. The effect was immediate. The faint light beneath its cracked scales flickered. Then steadied. Just a little. The boy exhaled softly. "There you go." The dragon made a sound. Not a cry. Not pains. Something else. Something warmer. The boy smiled. "Yeah, that's better." From the shadows, the dragon keepers watched. He responds to the boy. He stabilizes. Impossible. But the evidence stood before them. And it was growing stronger. Day by day, the boy returned. Again, and again, and again. Each time, the dragon improved. It stood longer, moved easier, ate more, and the cracks in its scales did not disappear, but they changed. The light beneath them grew steadier, stronger, as if something was filling the emptiness. Something it had lost, or something new. And the boy was changing too. At first it was small, barely noticeable. He no longer stumbled on the climb, no longer tired as quickly. His senses sharpened. He noticed things others didn't. A shift in the air, a flicker of movement, the subtle hum of power beneath the mountain. Then, it became impossible to ignore. One afternoon, a worker dropped a metal tool. It slipped from his hand, fell, vast, before anyone could react. The boy moved, faster than thought. His hand shot out, and caught it. Midair, silence fell. The worker stared. How did you? The boy blinked. He didn't know. From across the chamber, the Dragon Keepers watched. It's progressing. Too quickly. This is wrong. But still, they did not stop it. Because they needed to understand. The next time, it was worse. A young drake newly hatched lashed out. A burst of flame shot across the chamber. Wild, uncontrolled, it struck toward a group of workers. Someone screamed. The boy turned, and without thinking, he raised his hand. The fire bent. It curved, as if guided by an unseen force, and died before it touched anyone. The chamber fell silent. The boy stared at his hand. What? From the shadows, a single word was spoken. Bond. Everything stopped. Because that word changed everything. Dragon bonds were sacred. Ancient. They did not happen by accident. They were not given freely. They were earned, chosen, and above all, they were controlled. Only nobles, only those of high lineage, only those deemed worthy by the empire, could form such a connection. And even then, it was rare, difficult, dangerous, and now, a janitor's son had done it, without permission, without ritual, without control. No, the High Keeper said. His voice echoed through the chamber like a blade drawn across stone. This cannot be allowed. The boy felt it before he heard it. A shift, cold, sharp, danger. The next morning, the gates did not open for him. He stood at the entrance, waiting. Let me through. The guards did not move. You are no longer permitted inside. The boy's chest tightened. He nudged me. You are not required. From inside, a sound erupted. Loud, sharp, broken. The boy froze. No. The cry came again. Louder, desperate, and beneath it, something else. Pain. Real. Deep. The boy staggered. His hand went to his chest. He felt it. Every bit of it. He's hurting, he whispered. The guards remained still. The boy's breath shook. A move. They didn't. The cry turned into a scream. And the mountains. I answered. The ground trembled. Cracks spread across the sealed chamber. Light burst from within. Wild. Unstable. He's destabilizing. Contain it. Now, inside, the silver hatchling writhed. Power tore from its body in violent waves, slamming into the walls, fracturing stone, shattering runes. The bond was breaking. The boy stepped forward. He's scared. The guards reached for him. Stop. But he was already moving. Running. Through the gates. Through the chaos. Through the fear. Straight toward the dragon. Because nothing was going to take his brother away. He reached the shattered barrier. The dragon lashed out. Power surged. Wild. Uncontrolled. Dangerous. But the boy didn't stop. Didn't hesitate. Didn't fear. He reached out. I'm here. The words cut through everything. Through the roar. Through the power. Through the pain. The dragon froze. Mid-rage. Mid-destruction. Its eyes locked onto him. And the world went silent. Brother. The word was not spoken. not in sound, but it echoed through stone, through fire, through soul. The boy felt it, clear, complete, and something clicked. The bond snapped into place, fully, irrevocably. The storm stopped, and in the silence that followed, everyone understood. Something impossible had just been born. The brother of dragons. The silence did not last. It never did. Power like that could not remain quiet. The moment the storm stilled, the moment the silver light faded from wild chaos into something controlled, something focused, the entire hatchery felt it. Not just the dragon keepers, not just the guards, the mountain itself. It pulsed, once, deep, ancient, as if something buried far beneath layers of stone and time had opened its eyes. The boy stood at the center of it all. Small, humans, fragile, or at least he had been. Now, he was something else. His hand still rested against the hatchling's head. The barrier between them shattered. The runes that once held the dragon contained, broken, their faint glow extinguished. And the dragon's was no longer trembling. Its breathing steadied. Its body once curled in on itself, now stretched outward, wings lifting slightly, as if testing strength it had never possessed before. The cracks along its silver scales still remained, but they no longer flickered. They glowed, soft, steady, alive, impossible. The word slipped from the High Keeper's lips, barely louder than a breath. He stood at the edge of the chamber, surrounded by other dragon keepers, all of them frozen, all of them staring at the same sight. A humans, standing within a dragon's power. Untouched. No, not untouched. Accepted. The boy exhaled slowly. The storm inside him, because that was what it had been, wasn't it, settled. And in its place came clarity. He could feel it. Not just the dragon in front of him, but more, far more. Heat, movement, breath, every dragon within the hatchery. He felt them, distant, faint, but real. His fingers tightened slightly against the hatchling's scales. You're okay. The dragon huffed softly. A warm breath brushed against his skin. Not fire, not destruction, just warmth, relief. Behind him, boots struck stone. Remove the boy. The command was sharp. Cold. The High Keeper stepped forward. Power gathered around him, subtle but undeniable, the air itself seeming to tighten under his presence. This ends now. The boy did not turn. He didn't need to. Because the dragon reacted first. It moved. Vast. Its body shifted between the boy and the approaching figures, wings flaring outward, head lowering, teeth bared. A growl rolled through the chamber. Low. Warning. The guards stopped. Instinct. Even newly bonded, even small, even once broken. A dragon was still a dragon. And that sound was not to be ignored. The High Keeper's eyes narrowed. You see, he said quietly, uncontrolled. His gaze flicked to the other dragon keepers. Dangerous. The boy finally turned. His expression was calm. Too calm. He's not dangerous. The High Keeper's lip curled slightly. He is bonded to you. A pause. And you are not supposed to exist in that role. The words were not shouted. They didn't need to be. The weight behind them was enough. You are a servant's child, the High Keeper continued. Untrained, unworthy, unfit to carry the power you now hold. The boy met his gaze. And yet I do. A ripple of tension passed through the chamber. The High Keeper's eyes hardened. Then you will be separated. The words fell like a blade. And the dragon reacted instantly. A roar burst from its throat. Not loud, not massive, but filled with something far greater than volume. Defiance. The boy's chest tightened. He felt it. The fear beneath the anger. The memory of loss. Of being alone. No, he said. The word was simple, but it carried. The High Keeper raised his hand. Power gathered. Ancient. Controlled. The kind of power that had tamed dragons. Broken them. Bound them. Stand down, he ordered. The dragon lowered its body. Not in submission, but in preparation. If they moved, if they tried, it would fight, even if it died. The boy felt that too, and his heart clenched. You won't take him. The High Keeper stepped forward. I will do what is necessary for the Empire. The air tightened. Pressure built. The Dragon Keepers behind him began to chant softly, their voices weaving together, drawing on the ancient runes carved into the hatchery walls. Containment, suppression, control, the same magic used to bind dragons since the beginning of the Empire. The boy felt it pressing down on him. Heavy, crushing, but beneath it, something stirred. Deep, far below, older, stronger, and it did not like what it felt. The boy's breath hitched. What is that? No one answered, because they felt it too. A vibration, low, deep, like a heartbeat. The mountain trembled. Cracks spread along the chamber floor. Dust fell from the ceiling. The chanting faltered. What have you done? One of the keepers whispered. The High Keeper's gaze snapped to the boy. You've awakened something. The boy shook his head. I didn't. The dragon beside him stilled. Completely. Its head lifted. Eyes wide. Listening. The vibration grew stronger. The ground split. Stone cracked open with a thunderous sound. And from the depths, something rose. Slowly, massively, a shape, silver, perfect, whole. Gasps filled the chamber. No, that's impossible. It died, but it hadn't. The dragon that emerged from the earth was enormous. Not like the hatchlings. Not like the young drakes. Ancient. Its scales gleamed like polished silver, flawless, unmarred by cracks or weakness. Its wings, folded at its sides, were vast enough to eclipse the chamber itself. Its eyes were calm, too calm. It looked at them all and saw everything. You said it died, the boy whispered. The ancient dragon's gaze shifted. To him, to them, it said. Its voice did not echo. It did not roar. It simply existed, and that was enough. They could not hear me. The chamber fell silent. They could not feel me, the dragon continued, so they believed I was gone. Its gaze moved. To the hatchling. The smaller dragon trembled. Not in fear. In recognition. Are you? The word was not spoken, but it was felt. The ancient dragon lowered its head slightly. We were never separate. The boy's breath caught. The bond, the dragon's gaze returned to him, was broken. A pause. Until you. Understanding spread slowly, like fire catching on dry wood. They are twins, one of the keepers whispered. A split core. Two bodies, one existence. The High Keeper staggered back slightly. That cannot be maintained without balance. The ancient dragon's eyes gleamed. It cannot. Its gaze returned to the boy. Unless something fills the space left behind. The silence that followed was absolute. The boy swallowed. Amazed. The dragon did not answer immediately. Instead, it stepped forward. Each movement shook the chamber. Slow, deliberate, until it stood before him. Massive, ancient, unimaginable. And then, it bowed, not deeply, but enough. To complete the bond is to choose. Its voice softened. You chose. The boy's chest tightened. I just didn't want him to be alone. The ancient dragon's gaze softened. And so you were not. The words hung in the air. Simple, but absolute. Behind them, the High Keeper's voice broke through. This is unnatural. The ancient dragon did not turn. All bonds are. You would place a human above the Empire, the High Keeper demanded. No, the dragon turned. And for the first time, its gaze hardened. I would place truth above control. The air grew heavy. You broke what you did not understand, the dragon continued, and cast aside what you could not use. Its wings shifted slightly. The chamber trembled. And yet, its gaze moved to the boy. He healed it. The High Keeper clenched his fists. He is nothing. The dragon's eyes flashed. No, the word struck like thunder. He is what you could never be. A pause. Chosen. Silence. The hatchling stepped forward. No longer hidings. No longer tremblings. It stood beside the boy. And for the first time, it did not look broken. It looked whole, because it was not alone. The boy placed a hand against its neck. I told you, he said softly. I'd be your brothers. The dragon leaned into the touch. And the bond stabilized, fully, irrevocably. The ancient dragon watched, then turned, its gaze sweeping across the dragon keepers, across the guards, across the Empire's hold on this mountain. This ends. The words were not loud, but they carried deep, final. You will not chain what you do not understand. The High Keeper stepped forward. We will not relinquish control. The dragon's wings unfurled. Massive, blinding, you never had it. Power surged, not violent, not destructive, but undeniable. The kind of power that could not be argued with, could not be stopped, only accepted, or defied. The High Keeper hesitated, and in that hesitation, everything changed. Because for the first time, the Empire was not the strongest force in the room. The boy looked up, at the ancient dragons, at the hatchling beside him, at the mountain that no longer felt like a prison. And he understood. He had come here as nothing. A servant's son, invisible, unimportant, but he would not leave that way. Because he was no longer alone. And neither was the dragon. The mountain breathed, and the world shifted, because something new had been born. Not a weapons, not a tool, a bond between human and dragons. Not of control, but of choice. And that was far more dangerous. The end.